Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Small Business Show. I'm your host, Swire. My guest today is Ari K. She's the co-founder and chief creative officer of Cicalophia. Ari helps women-led brand in fintech and DTC transform their website into a platform that unlock business opportunities. She serves as a branding, UX consultant, and professional peer and supports fellow female entrepreneur through number one ranked private business incubator in the world, 1871 Chicago. She's also a co-host of Halo FinTech Podcast, a podcast that honors disruptive innovators and change makers advancing women health. How are you doing, Ari?
Hey, Swire. Thank you for having me today. I'm feeling great because I'm here for your podcast and show. I can't wait to get started.
Yeah, same here. For those of us who might not yet be familiar with you and your work, what should we know about you?
Yes. Gosh, what do we need to share about this? First of all, I am honestly a design geek, right? So I'm a design geek. My husband is a full nerd, right? So both of us come together creating the company over 10 years ago. And ever since then, our goal was actually pretty simple. We want to help other business owners really gain the right brand foundation, as well as have a really great experience that they can deliver for their users online on their website. And that's still to this day, after 10 years, we finally at a place where we also work together with other female entrepreneurs, women-led brands, and femtech D2C brands, so that we can really leverage that and help them transform their website into goldmine. Honestly, people ask me, okay, all right, what does that even look like, right? Because that is a little bit vague, but also exciting. Tell us more. And to be honest with you, a lot of our clients come to us simply because they don't have, a good guidance in terms of like how can they really leverage their brand from the story, from connecting with the audience, right? How to create that connection, and then when they do have some of these different pieces around brand promise or mission and vision, or even better, your brand positioning, how do we really translate all of these into an experience online on the website that truly will create conversion? So whether that means you want to gain more sales, more bookings, or even anything else around gaining that traction for hitting your KPI, we help you basically go through that and make that changes happen for you.
Thank you for sharing. I think personal branding and branding itself, it's a newer thing that we can actually do in a lot of different areas. Gone are the day that you have to have a big budget or a big media campaign behind you. And share a quick story. My daughter is in sixth grade. So normally when sixth grade, teacher will ask you at the end, what would you like to become? In when you grow up, so we have doctors, lawyers, and the usual things. And then a lot of kids actually say YouTubers. So they know that
Wow.
by having their own brand, having their
Yes.
own unique message as a YouTuber, they can actually make more money sometimes than the doctors and lawyers that we traditional, me as an Asian parent like them to become.
Wow. Yes, I applaud, your daughter, right? To
Well,
have
she wanted to be, but then it's still in process. We're just guiding her. It's no rush, no crazy tiger dad,
yeah.
behind.
Oh, I remember those days where people just like ask me, my friends, like, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? And I think, the aspiration that we have today for kids versus the aspiration that we had when we were young is like completely different, right? And, I think right now we have so many different access to resources and education, and we see ourselves having, different, I guess, like wants and needs and what we truly want to become in the future. And this is all fantastic and great for kids, though. I, on the other hand, was not so lucky, to be honest with you. I was honestly grow up in, a very tourism oriented place in Bali, Indonesia. And all I have known, I live and breathe all things tourism. And I know all of the, people in my family work in the tourism. So I thought, oh, I need to be in tourism. But when I dabble into something else, mainly getting connected with different skaters, BMXers, and then like all the other cool hippie hippie people around me, I get introduced to design and advertising. And that's basically how I get into the path that I am now, becoming graphic designers, and then ended up building the design agency.
So yeah, since you mentioned a good design, I wanted to get your take on creating a good design for branding. What does that mean, and really, how much time do we need to spend on creating a good design? And some people can spend a lot of money on there, but
Yeah,
some people have spent no money on it, but they start branding themselves. What are your take on this?
that's a really good question. Oh man, there honestly there is no right or wrong answer in terms of like how much time do you spend on creating good design. However, though, good design for branding need to come from the essence of your brand, right? So without having that, you could have a fantastic design, but what if that design didn't truly, embody who you are as a brand and didn't truly connect with your audience? So it almost feels like you're wasting a lot of investment, time and money or resources to make that happen. So even before you get to design, though, in my opinion, and a lot of the times when we do these with clients, we start from the core, right? So what does that mean? It means that you need to come back into who it is that you are as the brand. Like take a really close look in terms of like what do you truly want this brand to be? Like what is this all about? What's your purpose? Like how are you the one doing this versus somebody else? Why should be you? Why should people choose you? Right? So I think there's so many different, big questions that needs answered first before you finally translate all of these into design or even experiences online. What many people, have misconception about is that when you have a logo, you said that, yes, I have a brand. No, your logo is not your brand, right? Let me repeat that one more time. Your logo is not your brand. Now, even though logo is part of your brand, and to be specific, it's brand identity, right? Logo is only a small portion of the representation of who you are as a brand. Now, getting deeper into it, you need to have a really good clarity in terms of like, how do you show up to the world, right? What would make you different than other people? Maybe it's in your market or maybe like around the globe. What truly connects you with your target audience? Is it because you're the only one that do X in the specific market, or the only brand that can deliver X, Y, and Z service or solution? What is that core that you truly want to convey the message, and the type of relationship and connection you truly want to engage with your target audience? And I can talk about this all day, obviously, Spire, and I know we don't have a ton of time today to do that, but I would truly say if you have never done brand strategy before, reach out to somebody in your network, right? If you're on LinkedIn, or maybe you are in a different groups in your local business group area, reach out to them and see if anybody else doing or able to guide you through a brand strategy session. You'll be amazed to find out all the different things about you and your brand and how you can truly leverage a lot of these different pieces of information, right, to move your business forward. And to be honest, every single time I do this for my clients, at the end of the day, they would say, "Oh my God, I cannot believe I've known all the answers, but I never communicated out," right? I just keep it to myself. And I feel like, we're just ready to go as soon as we have our logo or our, design pieces. No, everything needs to start from your core, from the inside, and then you transfer it into the visual.
Yeah, I like that you bring up target audience a few times. So if for it's kind of like a vague concept, right? We have to do all that, to get people like us, trust us, and ultimately become a customer. But I
Yeah.
think, to go to the end result, first you have to answer this question: Who do you really want to target? That, like you said, that could answer a lot of the questions already. Are they female? Are they male? Or are they kids? Or who are they? So if you can actually write down, few of the you know details about your target audience, you can actually filter down. The key to success, let me know if you agree, is not to do everything. Is to
Yeah.
do a few things that will relate to the target audience. Maybe if those work, stick with what works for the moment. And then when you get
Mhm.
bigger, when you're growing, then you could focus on other target audience. But how difficult it is. I know from my day-to-day business, sometimes it's hard to ask people to identify a target audience. What is your conversation like with your clients finding a target audience for themselves.
Yeah. Oh man, this topic over and over, right? We always come across this topic simply because sometimes we have this, I'm just gonna say ego, right? We need to serve everybody. Because I started this same way. So I don't know about you, but when I started off, with my company, I would say to my people or my mentor when they ask me who's your target audience, or when you go to networking events, they ask you who's going to be the right referral for you, and you just say, well, anybody who needs a website. Wrong answer, right? Because you need to be specific, because when you say you're targeting everybody, that truly means that you're targeting nobody. And this come to play not only for just, for the sake of understanding your target audience, but it's more about creating an alignment between what you offer, who you truly are, and then who are the type of, target audience that you truly feel will be the right connection for you. Now, at the end of the day, you can also leverage these information for your marketing purposes, your PR purposes, or everything else in between, right? But when you don't have the clarity on truly understanding who are your target audience, it's going to be very confusing for you. And on top of that, you're going to spend way too much money in marketing because you're targeting every single person on the planet, right? Wouldn't it be very much efficient if you truly know, like, where do these people live? Or maybe even better, you ask a question around what stage in their life are they in right now?
Mhm.
What are their challenges, right? What would contribute to their decision? And how do they find out about either the brand or the specific solution that maybe they are trying to find out on, maybe by Googling things, right? So there are so many different areas on your target audience that you need to have an information first before just saying, like, yeah, anybody who maybe have this experience, or need this solution or this product, that is still very broad. So I would challenge everybody to really take a look at your current, maybe target audience, right? See how much information do you truly have right now, and identify whether or not you truly know where in their life right now, in terms of like life stages, right? It could be if you're maybe targeting, women, and maybe that woman is currently, planning their wedding, or maybe they're right now, actually planning their divorce. Like, these are two separate target audience that have completely different needs. So depending on their needs and where they are in their life, your either solution or product could come in either relevant or not relevant at all, right? So you see how these come into play when you have a better understanding of who it is that you're targeting.
Yeah, I think by able to answer that question, you save yourself a lot of time and money too. Because if you knowing your target audience, you know where they hang out, what kind of magazines, or do they read blog, or do they only on Discord. So you could filter it down pretty quickly. If you choose to advertise or spend money on marketing, where to put your money, because we don't have unlimited budget. Nobody has unlimited budget, even for macro corporation. They're really focused. They know exactly who they're targeting. You won't see, ads for, let's say, McDonald in a fancy neighborhood, or you don't see Tiffany, you know, advertising their billboard on the freeway. They just don't do that. So they know specifically who their targetants hang out, and then that's where you want to hang out. And for those of us who might not been in business for so long, dream about who will be your dream client. Who is that person going to be? What are the age group? Where do they hang out? Or, again, what type of magazines or publication, or who do they trust? So maybe you become a trusted partner for whom they trust. Then you gain your credibility than to go after everyone, calling on the phone book on all the wealthy individual in the United States. I don't think that works.
I think you brought a really good point there in terms of like who do they trust, right? And part of the exercise that we tend to do with our clients is to also look at, what kind of brand do these target audience typically lean towards to, right? Again, going back to the trust, or sometimes more in terms of like, what do they think when they make a decision, or what maybe like platforms or places, either online or offline, would they hang out, just like what you mentioned earlier as well. But the other items too around values, right? Sometimes we underestimate values for branding as well as for our target audience. Now, speaking of values, the two questions that you can ask are these. The first one, what do you stand for versus what do your target audience stand for? Is there an alignment there that maybe you can see connections, right? Or the second question would be, what are you against? And what are your target audience against? And if there are yet another alignment in there, I feel like you finally have the right target audience that can truly be, the person that could be, beyond just being an ambassador for your brand, but who truly going to show, brand loyalty to you and become the person who will share your brand to their friends and network, or maybe like more and beyond that. So I love that you mentioned the trust because it's truly big, right? We learn from what other recommend to us, especially people closer to us. If I ask about certain product that I feel like I need, a second opinion from my friends, my best friend, things like that. Whatever they try, I would say, yes, let me try that because you already tried it, right? Or maybe you work with somebody else and you rely so much on their suggestions, or maybe their referrals to refer you to another person or introduction. You most likely going to trust that recommendation, regardless like whoever this company is that you may never heard before.
Yeah, that's why YouTubers and influencers are making some good money now because people do trust them. They watch them every day. Everything that they do, all the brand kind of placement that they do, the clothes that they wear, people pay really close attention to, and then they go out and they buy them. So I think a lot of important points here. I do wanted to ask you about customer engagement because a lot of time in the old days, right? We have ads, we have billboards that only is one sided. But now people always talk about customer engagement. We want customers to engage, we want them to participate. How does that work, and how do we fit into our overall strategy and branding?
That's a really good one. Um, Around brand experience and customer engagement, the part that I would, be able to share more insights on are related to the web space, right? All of our experiences right now are on digital, whether it's on mobile phone or on our desktop or even on our watch sometimes, right? Now, I feel like when you look at these different experience, the different platforms that we're using or even the different devices that we're using creates different customer engagement. Now, what does that even mean now for branding part and especially for your business? I think what it means truly is when you already have an understanding in terms of like who your target audience, you have a better understanding in terms of like where they spend most of their time. Now, for example, say that you're targeting, women who mainly are helping their kids or maybe staying at home mom that focus on raising their kids. Most of the time, they're not going to be on their laptop, right? They're going to be on their phone, on the go, trying to go to the park or, do something else that is far beyond anything on the desk. So if you're targeting this particular type of people, you would definitely want to see what opportunities you have on anything mobile phone, be it, your own exclusive mobile application, or maybe on specific channels like social media. Maybe it's on Facebook groups for moms or anything else related to social media on the go. So I think really looking at what and where do you truly need to invest your either engagement resources and money in order to reach these target audience and provide the best experience for them. Right now, on the other side though, if you're targeting mainly, let's say, a marketing director who are leading a team and you're providing a SaaS product, they most likely are not going to be on their phone. They're most likely going to be in front of the computer. So they need something that can truly accommodate their needs and give the right customer engagement via desktop services or maybe like via website on the desktop. So I think just really looking at, based on the information you gain for your customer audience or your personal persona or your target audience, you'll be able to really, curate that experience based on their needs. And again, everything seems to be customized for your target audience, and it should be, right? Imagine if you were going to find specific solutions out there in the world when you Google search it, or maybe you ask people on your Facebook feed, it's going to really look different from one need to another. You versus your husband or your wife or your mom and things like that. Everybody feels like they need to have different accommodation based on their needs.
Yeah, I think you mentioned a really great point, and there's a lot of follow-up question there. A lot of people, especially in my industry in promotional product, people try to debate me with the effectiveness for digital versus actually giving you a product. My I come to acceptance that I'm not going to fight them, but actually I will embrace. You should actually combine them together. Kind of like your example with stay home mom. They might see a product, right? Let's say maybe a lunch product, right, on Instagram, for example. They are interested in it, but it will not they will not buy it until they actually see it maybe at Costco. There's a tasting actually. They actually put one in their mouth and then they buy like 2 boxes of it, right? Then it's not about digital and tangible. It's about how do you knowing your target audience. And even if you're talking marketing directed too, maybe there's a field day that you can invite them for that's relevant to what they hit. Do demonstration, have them touch and feel on something. Even if you're talking about software, there's still tangible and physical touches that you could enhance the experience based on whomever they are. So I think you have to identify the target audience, then you could really answer all the questions that we just talked about.
I like that you mentioned this because this feels very timely for me because I think it was yesterday. Yesterday, I posted a carousel around leveraging your five senses, right, for your brand and marketing. And this honestly feels so timely because it's not truly just relying on all things related to digital, but you can combine all these different experience, right, outside of digital platform. You may have some sort of like little package that you can send your customers in terms of like either trying it out or maybe mailing them in case they want to try out some of your product. And on top of that, for all things that are fully digital though, you can still leverage the five senses because when we see things on the screen, our brain immediately sense like, oh, as I associate that the slice of lemon image in front of me as something that is super fresh, right? So there are so many different ways to still incorporate this tangibility, tangibility for your five senses to come out and truly experience, the different types of um, branding that you see, not just via digital, but also things that you can touch, things that you can smell, or even interact with.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to do, and thank you for agreeing with me. There's no digital versus tangible, right? It is figuring out what the target audience will be. Like really, if you're talking about a marketing manager who might never go to Costco, right? There are still a lot of tangible things that you could reach out to them. So the idea will be if you can find someone whom they have trust and they're using some of your tangible, let's say promotional product or other giveaway that you have for them, and then they actually would speak on the experience. What did you do at the conference? What happened there? And then instead of you telling them where they actually tune out and send your email to spam box, their colleague will actually relate the same experience to the manager, to their colleague, and become like you said, an ambassador for the brand. And then you combine them with other method of reaching out to them, then you start putting them into your sales funnel.
Yes, I think you definitely get that right. And again, I think it's coming back into the brand experience portion, right? People tend to underestimate, the brand experience that we need to create for our user and only rely on, yeah, we have the best product or we have the best, service or solution for our target audience. But sometimes we didn't really take it to an account in terms of like, how do you really map out the journey of the customers, right? Since they first maybe heard about you, have you prepare different, maybe like either scenarios or some expectation that they can experience from your brand, and then how can we truly design every single step of the way when they get through us and then help also retain them at the end of the day, right? Because I think once you get customers buying from you and they purchase something from you, sometimes you forget about them. It shouldn't be the end of the experience. I think that the experience should be continuous, right? So that you can still help retain these customers, because at the end of the day, retaining your customers is a lot more affordable, I should say, rather than going out there marketing yourself and spending more dollars to gain new customers.
Thank you so much for saying that. I've been preaching and telling my client, you spend big dollar, you buy Google ads, you buy, items that we sell, and you get the customer through the door. And now they order from you. They actually are happy with your product. And how much money do you spend on retaining them? A lot of time
Yeah.
they looked at me and they said, why do we spend, they bought from us already. Why do we need to spend any money, retaining them? People, we need to figure out that these are people who use your experience. There are a couple of different ways that really no cost to you. If you call them, can you give us a testimonial? Or there are clients that really happy with what you do. Can you send me a short video just using your phone and tell people about your experience? Then you can really use that to push through digitally, with your marketing material that you have a lot of customers that are happy with your product or services. And you can even ask, and it's really old school, do you have
Yeah.
any friends and family that might be able to use our product and services? And in a big corporation too, do you have other department that you can introduce me to them? Then you are going deeper and deeper into a big corporation. Surprise, a lot of people don't do that. And thank you so much for mentioning that.
Well, I have to agree with you because it is definitely something that a lot of people overlook, right? Because the idea, or at least maybe the mindset that they have, is that they need to bring in more and more customers rather than retaining the current customers so that they can amplify the brand outside of your, well, let's say control, right? You truly do want to focus on the people that you can retain and also converting people that you are retaining so that they can share more about you out there in the world. So it's almost like for those brand that truly have programs like ambassador program or referral program or affiliate program, right? They do very well because they know exactly how to get the help they needed from the people who already have gone through their experience, maybe have already purchased their product or services, and understand how the brand, they believe this brand is part of their identity, and now they're going out there to the world and telling others like, hey, join me in helping supporting this brand by maybe, I don't know, purchasing something. And it's like, this brand has changed my life. I mean, those are honestly the best way to market your brand, right?
Yeah, even as small as going back to the stay-home mom. Stay-home mom talk to each other. My wife, she works, but obviously she's a mom. They belong to a Facebook group with all the moms around the area. So if they drop a name of a restaurant or a product, forget about it. Like every one of them is buying the same product and going
Yes.
to the same restaurant. So don't forget, just one mention. If you don't have to spend a lot of money. It's just to show people that you care. We like to be treated as if we're all VIPs. It doesn't take a lot of time. When is the think about everyone think about their own experience. When is the last time you purchased something from a company that they call you and thank you? Probably never. Like people don't call anymore. They do robocall. They send emails. But when is actually the last time your sales rep or your representative to call you and thank you for your experience, for your business? And how do you think that will make you feel for your brand loyalty for that company if they really call you to check in? Are you happy? Do you have any feedback for us? And then at the end, if they're smart, they ask you for the referral and the testimonial. So it could be embedded on any type of businesses, and it's there's no cost. All it takes is a phone call or however that you'd like to reach out to the client.
Yes, I'm stealing some of that, by the way, but yes, I love those.
Yeah, people, I think, phone calls is still important. Like even if you are jumping on a Zoom call or even text is still, but it got to be genuine. They know it's coming from you. But speaking of that, and you and I talk about it off camera a little bit. Branding for a company can also means to the employees, especially you mentioned some of the challenge, the big resignation, right? It's a popular keyword right now that people are quitting. They have more opportunity, and some people don't want to go back to the office. They like to work from home. So company are struggling to keep the talent, the best assets into the company. What have you been hearing, and what are some of the solutions that you've been thinking and brainstorming from your mentors?
That is definitely one of our problems as entrepreneurs and business owners, right? I've honestly heard so many different, businesses in my network. They're having a really hard time now finding talent, and even even if they actually share higher compensation, right? It's still hard to find a talent. And we see this, on different news that there's this, there's a war going on between trying to like who's going to offer the best benefit and the best pay. Well, for some of us, we can't get into that game simply because we can't afford it, because we need to still keep some profit for our business to run the company, right? So I think there's so many different ways that maybe a lot of people haven't really think about, maybe haven't really ready, maybe some of them are not ready to explore it. But the big thing that I have done for my own company is that many of our employees, or should I say maybe like full-time contractors, are all outside of the US. And the main reason why we did this is because we went, from 2-person company to 5% company in a very short time. And we realized that in order for us to still maintain the profit that we need to run the company and also for everything else related to operation, we need to be smart about it. So we couldn't really afford like, you know, bringing in somebody from the US because, well, you know, related to business, it just doesn't make sense, right? And I think sometimes there's this ego that I have, oh, I really do want to support, local talent and everything. But I would say, do what's best for your business because you are the business owner, you are the entrepreneur. You could do something that you truly feel right for your heart, but sometimes you also need to justify that based on the numbers, right? I recently finally, Swire, I don't know if you have always comfortable with, looking at numbers, but for me, looking at numbers was very scary, and I only have come to terms with it recently. And I finally realized numbers do tell story, and you have to be smart about your numbers, right? So I think when we made the decision that we will hire the best talent, essentially, regardless where they are, that's what we ended up doing. And still to this day, many of our team members are all outside of the US. Some of them are in Indonesia, some of them are in Philippines, and some of them are in Serbia. And it ended up working for us simply because we feel like there should be flexibility. I feel like the main reason why I wanted to build a business, other than obviously, able to have the flexibility, but also have the freedom, right? And I think now we finally seen a lot of people wanting to have the same thing. When you get stuck in a 9 to 5 job, which I have done in the past as well, you don't really have that flexibility, right? When you need to take your son for soccer, or maybe you need to take your daughter for recitals or something like that, right? You don't truly have that flexibility. And I think that's what we have built for our company as Calofia, and everybody else in our team, our team members across the globe. They also value flexibility, and there's this alignment that we create between what our company truly values and what our target audience, in this case our talent, truly also want to have for their life. So there's so many different ways, and I think like talent doesn't necessarily have to be in your state, in your area, in the United States. It could be maybe in Canada, maybe it could be in Mexico, right? As long as you know how to really modify your process and your operation for your business, you should be able to make it work. But then again, there's a lot of other challenges like time zone, or what else that other people tend to also have issues with. Communication, the tonality sometimes can get slightly different. I think there's going to be a lot of different challenges, but then again, we are building business day to day, having to face so many different challenges, right? So how is this any different? So I feel like many things that I would say around this would be, one thing, be open to it, be open in actually exploring other options. So I hope that helped answer.
Yeah, I think probably kind of sound kind of bad when I say that one good thing that happens since the pandemic is we are more open-minded with remote working. We are actually more flexible because before all my meetings, traveling to client is at the office. But right now, I'm comfortable and the clients are comfortable if we hop on a Zoom call. If they even have 5 people in different location around the globe sometime, we can hop on to a quick Zoom call or whatever the platform, have an engaging meeting. I'm on my computer, I have all my slides. right? All my pictures, I can show them a lot easier than if I have to drag all my material to a meeting. And then, like you said, the world is really big. There might be specific talent that are not available in where your local area is. But then if you're able to tap the talent in the globe, it's really big, and you'll be surprised, and you'll be able to talk to a lot of unique people, and you're able to actually learn. It's you and I both know it's fun to work with other cultures. You actually learn, and you sometimes laugh yourself. How things are totally different in different countries, like how they handle it and how they communicate, and you learn from it. So I think as an entrepreneur, that's actually helped me grow a lot by finding the best thing in both worlds. That's something that I always been opening on doing.
I think you hit a really good point there too, in terms of like technology helps, right? I think without technology, we probably wouldn't be able to do this. But hey, we have this technology for so long, but yet it took us the pandemic to truly be comfortable to just hop on a Zoom call, and we don't have to, get on a commute of 2 hours long, or maybe sometimes even more. So, in all honesty, I feel like some of us still rely on that, in-person connection, because that's how people like to build a relationship. But now the way we build relationship has changed, right? And then now it becomes a lot easier to, I guess, negotiate some terms in terms of like, can we just do Zoom rather than just like meet in person, save us a lot of time, also like save on gas and everything. Um, but yes, I do totally feel like without the technology, we probably won't even be at this point.
Yeah, Ari, I feel like that we could talk like this for the next 2 hours, but I want to value your time. For listener who wanted to reach out to you to really find out more about your work, what would be the best way to reach out to you?
Yes, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm liking the platform now. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and we can, connect, maybe even like go on a speed connection call like this.
Okay, and you have something exciting coming in Q3. Can you talk about that?
Yes. Ooh, I'm excited. I'm currently writing a book with my partner, who is also my husband, around, really leveraging your branding for your website experience and find one that will truly convert, right? So we're ramping it up, and we'll be launching in September. So if you want, I'm giving away 5 copies for Swire audience here for the small business show. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and the first 5 people who reach out to me on LinkedIn mentioning the show, I will send over the book for you when it's launched in September.
Thank you so much, Ari. I'll put your contact information also in the show notes. And thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.